mistakes people make. And if they're not careful, it can offset their situation and offset their course to where you won't be able to come back from. You won't be able to get such deals or have such connections that can help you and that would be gladly to help you. These few mistakes, one of the mistakes people make, they count their chickens before they hatch. Now, that is a old saying. I'm pretty sure many of you have heard of that saying or like that saying. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Like, for example, you say, I'm gonna work these many hours, or I'm gonna work these many days, but those days are not set, but you are counting on those days to work. You say to yourself, I know I'm going to work these days this following week, but there's a unexpected change up, knowing that it can change. But you say to yourself, I've had this schedule for so long that I know my schedule is going to be the same. I know my schedule is not going to change. I know that I'm going to get my Fridays and Saturdays off. Well, the disappointment that could happen is anything could happen at work. You may be required and have to work those Fridays and Saturdays, unless you already put in that request either for family or religious reasons. Out of those two, then it's not a guarantee. Although you may be favored 89% to 90% of the time, that 10% could happen. And how you going to deal with that? Another is those that are in like sales positions, or even like the interview, even being interviewed for a job or something. You say, I've already nailed that deal, and you started to make plans of what you're going to do with your commission that you've earned from closing that deal. You've already spent the money in your head. Meanwhile, that money is not in your account. The check hasn't even been cleared, but yet you say, okay, I'm going to get this for myself. I'm going to reward this. I'm going to take this trip. And you started to make plans. But then next thing you know, like the following morning, you get a letter. I'm sorry, but this position has already been fulfilled. I'm sorry, but this letter is for you, and the deal has gone to someone else. And you are shocked. You're more than shocked. You feel like something just stomped your heart. You feel it in here. And then you say, how could this be? This was guaranteed. We talked about this. It was weeks that was talked about this. And it was guarantee they said that this, the deal was going to happen. I just had to come in and sign the paperwork, but something happened. And so now you didn't told your whole, you didn't told your family, you didn't told, if you're married, you didn't told your wife or you told your husband, and now everybody's celebrating. But now we have to go back and say, I didn't get the job. They gave it to somebody else. The deal didn't close through. They gave it to somebody else. And then so now it's just disappointment. Now, that is the danger of counting your chickens before they hatched. The chickens are those opportunities, or that commission, right? Or that interview, that opportunity. But they didn't say, welcome aboard. They didn't say, you'll start on Monday, and they gave you a time, or come in next week, or here's the paper, here's the paperwork, and you signed, and you didn't sign that for that bonus, or that call that, okay, we're sending you your commission as we speak, and then they say, did it go through? Did it clear? And then you say, yes, I got it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Right? That didn't happen, but the opposite did. Right? Okay. So, and another mistake that we make is we jump to conclusion. Jumping to conclusions is a major mistake. It can not only ruin reputation and ruin your reputation, but it can cause to lose friendships between friends, family members, and so forth. And then no one don't want to be bothered with you because you always jump into conclusions. Right? So when you don't hear the story out, you don't have all the facts together, and you jump to conclusion, then you can be in a major error. Not error, but error. And that's a lot of people's downfall when they're jumping to conclusions. They don't hear the conclusion of the whole matter, right? You have to hear the whole explanation. Don't interrupt. People have a bad habit of interrupting, and they don't catch themselves. Okay? So it's important, if you find yourself interrupting a person while they're talking, you gotta stop yourself. That's a very mature thing to do, is stop yourself from talking. You say, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. Keep going, That shows great strength, and especially today. Too many people want to talk, and not enough people want to listen. And so that's how the message doesn't get through. Communication gets cross-wired. Okay, so the mistake is people make is jump into conclusion. And another mistake that people make is they burn bridges. Now, you heard the tane, you heard from before, when you were younger, your grandparents, your parents used to say, don't burn your bridges, right? I take it a step further. and say, don't burn the wrong bridge. Sometimes you have to burn bridges that's not good for you. The bridges that's detrimental to you. Like, for example, if you have that ex that was toxic, you have to burn that bridge. You have to delete all the communication, delete all the messages, totally delete their profile, delete their face cover on your phone. You got to burn that bridge, right? Even if, quote unquote, they said they have changed, you still gotta burn that bridge if it ended in chaos, if the relationship ended bad. And even in friendship, even if you had that friend, you guys were friends, but that person betrayed your trust and put you in a bad position, you have to burn that bridge. Those are bridges you have to burn. You know. Don't burn the wrong bridge. Okay, that's the thing. If you're gonna burn a bridge, burn the bridge that was detrimental to you, that took you, that made your life harder and, caused you a lot of trouble. You burn those bridges. Okay. Now, and another mistake people make is all of a sudden people get amnesia. Those that helped you along the way. Those people that helped you. You can't forget who helped you along the way. Right? You gotta show appreciation to them. It doesn't matter how high that you've got, because without that person lending a hand or introducing you to certain people, they showed you the door, and you just walked, right through it, and you excelled. But without those people, you wouldn't even be in the room. You wouldn't even be in the conversation, right? So at least you can show appreciation. Don't catch amnesia. Don't forget. Now, those are the few major key component mistakes that people make. I'd like to know what you think. And like, share, comment, and hit that notification bell button. And make sure you share. And I know I said that, but alright, y'all. Have a good one.